All right, founders, it is time for another pitch deck critique and review. And this time we have an app to help out with eating disorders. And I just met with this founder and very lovely, at least one of the members of the team, and it was enjoyable. So happy to do this pitch deck review as part of the Startups.com community. If you are a founder out there and you want your pitch deck reviewed, send me a comment in this video, or you can just email us at advisor@startups.com. But leave a comment and I'm happy to work that through with you. We do have a bit of process. If you're waiting for a review, thank you for your patience. We do have a list, a lineup that we are trying to get through. My name is Ed Kang, seven-time funded founder with 2 exits. Fancy way of saying I've failed a bunch of times to your benefit. And I like to do videos like this to help founders avoid some of the catastrophic mistakes that I've made, especially if you're early stage founder and you're raising that early stage pre-seed seed funding. It's not to say you're not going to make mistakes, but I'm going to try to make your life a little bit easier with videos like this. I appreciate all founders that send me their pitch deck. It takes a tremendous amounts of courage to have your video done on your pitch deck, to get feedback, and then to act on that feedback. And I hope that I can make this an enjoyable experience. Again, appreciate all the courage. Like, comment, subscribe if you're hanging out with us here on YouTube. Appreciate all the support from Startups.com, and check us out if you don't know what Startups.com is or you haven't seen what we offer just yet. Let's jump into this pitch deck. So right away from the cover, one of the most important things that you want to do is you want to talk to the investor, not the customer. Get rid of flowery, jargony language of the customer marketing stuff, okay? No hype, no buzzwords, no fluff. So when you said your friend in recovery from an eating disorder, that is not the investor's friend. That is your user's friend. And what happens is the investors thinking to themselves, well, I don't have an eating disorder. And I'm not saying it's so reductive, but you're missing the language. This statement here is a little better, creating a safe, judgment-free community for individuals with eating disorders. Better, but it doesn't quite explain what you do. So you want a very straightforward statement of what your app does so that the investor says, I know where I'm going. You would rather be clear. It is more important to be clear than to be clever in terms of your messaging, right? So clear is good. Clever, do not do clever in terms of play on words or anything slogan-y. Don't worry about that. So if this is an app to help individuals with eating disorders, then just say that. This is an app to help people with individual eating disorders. Just be very straightforward and explain what it is. And it helps to say, is it an app? What is it exactly? Because the investor doesn't have a lot of time. So don't waste this space and just help the investor say, this is what you should expect, and I'm going to help you along on your journey. In this deck, we've got multiple problem slides going on, and you want one problem slide. So your deck, just letting you know, this is the way that we have it in our course, but I can show you more resources on this in lots of videos. Your deck is going to go problem, and then it's going to go solution, and then it's going to go market size, and then after is how it works, business model, etc. So the 3 most important slides are these slides, very important. And you want one slide each. One slide each is important. Problem with this problem is that we got multiple slides. But let's break down each one and figure out how to describe it in a way that makes sense. Eating disorders have the second highest mortality rate of all mental illnesses, projected to affect 9%, 28.8 million of the US population. I'm going to re-engineer this statement to make it more powerful for the investors. Just start with 28.8 million people have eating disorders, and how many percentage will die? That is a very scary problem. And I know lots of people with eating disorders, and we're introducing so many things like mortality rate, mental illness. Put some teeth on it and explain. Now, we need to explain why they're going to die. What are the conditions that are creating this problem? But the size, scope, and severity starts off with how many people. So we got 28.8. Don't talk about percentages, etc., because 9% doesn't sound impressive. 28.8 million, and this is a sad number. I'm not celebrating this number whatsoever, but it shows the size of the problem. So just say 28.8 million people suffer from eating disorders, and half of them will die. Something like that, or how many of them will die every single year. Now let's continue and see if we can piece some more together and create a problem statement that works. So the problem, high cost of treatment. So these are the whys that are happening, right? You got high cost of treatment, lack of community support and isolation, social media, boom, worsens the problem. And I know you've got these facts, but we don't have to have all this information. I appreciate that you've done all this research. So bravo, check, check, check. This is really great. But investors not going to spend time on this. The investor just needs to know straightforward how big the problem is, and they'll do due diligence later. You don't have to argue it in this pitch deck. Remember, this pitch deck that we are creating right now, the advice that I'm giving you, this is an introductory screener deck. The purpose of this deck is not to support everything that you've got. The purpose of the deck is to make a sorting decision. This is worth explaining just a little bit. You want your deck to be the ad for the ad. In other words, you want it to be quick, hard-hitting, 10, 12 slides max, so that they contact you and they say, I'd like to see the rest of your stuff. I'd like to have a meeting. I'd like to meet the founders. That's all investors need, because they need the minimum amount of time to look through the deck and make a sorting decision, maybe or no. That's it. So you don't have to give them all the stuff right away and get their investment decision right in that meeting. That is not going to happen. It is a sorting decision. So they're going to say, yeah, I like it. Problem, solution, makes sense. I've read the deck. In 90 seconds to 3 minutes is how much time you have. Maybe I'm going to send it off to an associate, or I'm going to put it in the maybe pile, or I'm going to shoot off a quick email and say, I like it. Please schedule a meeting with me. That's all you want to do. Then you can hit them with all your research and all your facts and due diligence and everything, but it needs to be insightful, not just facts that you've pulled from the internet and top-down analysis. They're going to be expecting you to extrapolate and show insight. So don't waste the space, or don't burden the time and create cognitive friction for the investor at this stage. Let's just make it quick. Let's see how we can do it with this pitch deck. Okay, so we're getting the market size, and then we got into the solution. So there's only 2 problem slides right now. So eating disorders have the highest mortality rate, and then this is the issue. So here's what you could potentially do with this, and use ChatGPT, feed ChatGPT with all this information, and ask for one sentence, right? So we could say something like 28.8 million have an eating disorder, and X% are going to die because of the high cost of treatment, lack of community support and isolation, and the effects of social media. That's it. I like it. 1, 2, 3. Because we're going to solve this. Now, for everybody else watching and for these founders, if you say something is a problem and you talk about the factors, you have to solve it. Because if you say 10 million people overspend $4 billion a year because the current solution is slow, manual, and expensive, then you're going to say our solution does everything, solves a problem for, let's say, 90% less. So it's a 10x solution because it is fast, automated, and it is cheaper. You see how every single point that we say is part of the problem has to be solved. That is what we're going to do. So let's get back to this slide here. So let's say 28.8 million people have an eating disorder, 10% dying every year because of the high cost of treatment, lack of community support, and the effects of social media. Bang. That's what we're going to do. So consolidate that all and put that together. That's my suggestion. Market size. So TAM, Samsung, I don't need to see rapid growth. I don't care if there's rapid growth. What you're saying is more people are going to have eating disorders. But what you want to do is calculate what is going to be the market potential if everybody who has a problem uses it. This is a top-down, accelerated since internet, 64 billion in annual losses. That doesn't mean anything. I don't even understand what that means. So TAM, remember, you want to be doing the difference between a top-down. Top-down is not what you want to do, okay? Top-down is a sad face there. You want to do a bottom-up analysis is what you're doing. There's another way to do TAM, SAM, and that's called value theory analysis, but that doesn't apply here. Your TAM is 28.8 million people times how much money that you would charge is what you got, right? So if you said 28.8 million people and you're charging them $10 a month, well, then it's 280.8 million, okay? Charging 100, okay, it's 2 billion. So that's what your TAM is, and you want to show that math. So you want to show that big number in the billions, right? Big number, and then you want to show your math in here's how many times how much money equals this number right here. And that's what you want to say. Now your SAM is U.S. broadly diagnosed 2000 to 2018. So you may say your SAM is we're going to focus on US based. And now you want to tell us where the number is in terms of the US based times the amount equals your SAM. Now, a word of advice, your SAM should be based on what you think your business model is best suited for, what you have a strategic advantage. So if you have a specific SAM, and you can say our SAM, our target is going to be teenage girls because we understand this, then tell us how many teenage girls there are. But eventually you're going to grow into your TAM. So SAM is growing in. So we're going to focus here. And then SOM, this is not your SOM. SOM is how much money that you realistically could make every year if you executed your business plan, got the funding that you want in 5 to 7 years. How much money could you really realistically make? And that needs to be, if you're trying to get unicorn-based startup funding, that needs to be $100 million, over $100 million, because that's what makes a unicorn. So I'm going to show the resources on how you do TAM, SAM, SOM, and I'll link them in the description, or you can check my YouTube channel. But there's a better way to do TAM, SAM, SOM. This is top-down. Investors are not interested in this. It shows that you haven't really understood or analyzed your market. Let's move to the solution. So the solution should have happened before the TAM, SAM, SOM. So remember, problem, solution, then market size. And now let's look at the solution. So I've got the first app. So don't say that. Don't say the first app. Don't be hyperbolic and make these big statements, because you might not be wrong or the investor's not going to believe that. So it's an app that offers continuous community support. I don't know what this means. Continuous community support for eating disorder sufferers, moderated by AI technology. So there's a better way to say this. Fred is an AI-based app that supports individuals from eating disorders with the three things: with continuous support, at a fraction of the cost, continuous support, and what was the last one that we were talking about? Social media, and addresses social media influence or something along those lines. You see how the solution is robust. Now, I'm predicting that there's more solution slides. Let's investigate this further. You don't want to have more than one solution slide. Okay, so now we have the why now eating disorders. And so now you're explaining the problem again. This is the reason I thought there were more problems. Don't do this, okay? You don't need this. You don't need this slide at all. How do we solve the problem? Safety, community, education, recovery tools. So you could have easily said, we are an app, AI-based app that helps people with eating disorders with safety from social media, community support, 24/7, education, recovery tools. That's it. That's all you had to say. So that's very straightforward. Remember, I don't need the full pitch, the full song and dance. I just need to know problem, solution. Do I care about it? Do I think it's a possible solution? Great. Adding AI to it? Great. Fantastic. I'm going to find out how it works a little more later, and then it's a big market with a lot of potential users. So now the product. So this should be a how it works slide. Remember, problem, solution, market size, how it works. Empathetic AI guidance. That doesn't mean anything. What does that mean? Video call support groups. That means something more. Mentorship, matching, future professionals, marketplace. So you want it small in the corner, and you want to say how it works, right? Up in the top here. And then you want to say step one. This is step one. User uploads information, starts talking to an AI, and we can say it's trained for empathy. We're going to want to know how, okay? Is it an LLM, all that stuff? How is it trained for empathy? Or you can say it's trained using our empathy models. So that's step one. 2, they join a support group and they get on video calls. And 3, they're matched with a mentor. That's it, okay? Don't worry about all this other stuff in future. If it is part of your business model, just go 4, and there's a marketplace, right? Then you can say that. So that's going to be your business model. Don't confuse the investor. Just say this is going to be how we're going to go. So step 1, have normalized conversations. So step 1, start talking to the AI. Step 2, get on some video calls and join some support groups. That's community. Step 3, we'll match you with a mentor. And then step 4, you can have marketplace access or marketplace of different resources. Find a therapist, recovery, all this stuff. That's good enough, right? That's good enough. Now, whether or not this is differentiated for you in the market, I don't know, because I'm not an expert in this. And so it's very important, because immediately investors are going to start asking about competition, but hopefully there's a competition slide. So that's the how it works. Next, this is your business model. So you want to have a headline up at the top and just say our business model. So you want to say biz model up in the top, okay? And then you just want a nice stark headline. We charge a monthly subscription plan. You don't need all of this. Just say there's a free, and there's $7.99 a month that adds this, and there's $15.99 and $29. And don't say beta version. Just don't worry about that. Just say this is going to be our business model. There are freemium. So explain what the freemium is. AI chatbot, which corroborates is supported by your how it works. $7.99, $15.99, $29.99. That's all you have to do. That's all I have to say. Remember, I'm just whipping through this, and I want to know. And so you can just add this. You don't have to do this whole chart that I have to look at. Just say, here are the features that are going to be added, and make it really nice and tight and thin. So that's how you want to do your business model slide. Competitive analysis. Here we go. So Fred, eating disorder specific. I like that. Let's go with the X's and the check marks, please. It's a little confusing for me. So let's just do check mark, X. I like the way that I recognize BetterHelp. Free self-help monitors. I really like this. I like the fact that you're acknowledging. And then the rest, actually, this is a really, really good slide. I dig the slide. because it's got all the things that the customer wants. This is something for everybody to know. What should be going in your dimensions or what customers want. And yeah, I really dig this. Good slide. I would say this slide is an A minus, but how do you make it an A plus? The only way is to get feedback from the market. Remember, I am not an expert in this space. Financial projections. Now, if you are not making any money, don't worry about the financial projections now. Let's take a look and see the financial projections need to figure out. But if you are going to make money, if you are making money, then what you want is a headline and say, we've made, or based on this, we see ourselves being profitable, et cetera. And because all this stuff is, I'm not going to take time to read all this stuff, right? So it's almost better if you are making money. This turns into a traction slide. Right now, I don't see any evidence because all founders can make any type of projections that go up and to the right. Not all founders can do proper business models that make investors go, okay. Every time an investor at an early stage, if you're not making money, looks at your financial projections that's going up and to the right and you're making millions of dollars, they just shake their head and they say, there's no way that you know. Nobody knows. That's the reason you want a business model. You want to be prepared for a business model during due diligence. So unless you've got some clear insight, I don't put financial projections in my pre-seed decks, and I'm assuming there's a pre-seed deck. Let's take a look. I may change my mind depending on how far I get into this. Go-to-market strategy. So this should have gone before the financial projections and the competition, but I'm going to say the founder's got all these moving pieces. I'm going to be talking to this founder, and I will let them know. Now, here's the big problem with this this go-to-market. Sorry, I called it financial. Go-to-market. This is what I call a laundry list of tactics, and that is not going to get you anywhere. That's not a strategy. Notice how it says strategy. I want to know what you are doing in terms of a thoughtful, insightful approach and how you're going to get to the market. For example, you know what I don't see here, which is part of your go-to-market strategy? It's going to be freemium. Freemium, you got an AI. So you can just say, we are going to do social media awareness campaigns and get people talking to our free AI. That's the first step. Then we're going to start offering them. That's a great strategy. That is a strategy, not tactics. You could say, we're going to develop our AI and we're going to do user-generated content, not just social media. There's a lot of different ways that you do social media. You could say, we're doing user-generated content. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a free AI chatbot, and then we're going to send it to influencers in this space. And then we're going to ask them to do user-generated content. We're going to ask them to test, or we're going to pay them to do user-generated content. And then from user-generated content, after the user has had X amount of chats or has been there for a month, or maybe they get access for a month, then we're going to give them options to upsell. You see? Then we get into affiliate programs. You see how I explain it so much more instead of just giving you this laundry list? Or look at this, treatment centers. You may say, our strategy is to work with partners and send it to treatment centers and give it for free for everybody inside the treatment center. Now, immediately what I'm thinking is, well, you're competition to them, right? So that's where the strategy component comes in. This is just a laundry list of spaghetti that you throw on the wall and you hope that it sticks. Investors do not trust that, and they're not going to appreciate a slide like this. So work on your go-to-market strategy. Timeline, 1 to 4 weeks concept. Okay, so we are in concept to production. This is pre-seed. You don't need this timeline. You'd rather have a traction slide because you're telling me that you're going to be in the App Store by end of week 24. How do you know? I highly doubt it. Just letting you know. You're saying in 6 months, you're going to be on the App Store. Everything costs twice as much and twice as long. If you're starting from concept to production. In fact, this worries me. If you got concept to production, you think 1 to 4 weeks, initial mobile development, like it's really tough how you're laying this out because you don't know. There's so many question marks. So I'd rather see the state of the product. I'd rather see a traction slide. So I'm going to say, get this slide out of there and explain what's going on. Maybe some demos or something like that. Tech dev, we saw key team members, and what happens is, it's great. I'm glad we got key team members, but put that in your team slide, which I know there's a team slide. So you don't need this. And I don't care about your technical infrastructure. I do not care right now. I may care later on, but I know what you're doing is you're going to ChatGPT, Claude, but you're saying a lot of AI washing terms that I think that we need to explain. We need to be a little better about doing it, right? Developmental opportunities. We don't need this slide. Collaboration, assurance. This actually could go more of your market slide. So we're going to collaborate with therapists. They'd probably be competition. Insurance companies, all-in-one platform professionals. Right? So this doesn't make a lot of sense. You're not there yet, so don't have this slide. Team, way better, okay? So I like the fact that we've got a team, and a good-looking team, by the way. Really nice pictures. Congratulations. But here's the thing. I want to know titles, and I want to know, is it advisory position, Are they advisors? I want to know, are they full-time, part-time? Okay, full-time or part-time? What's going on there? And then you want to have bullets. And when I read this, there's lots of different types of good information bits, but put it in bullets, right? Explain and have logos of social proof of logos that we recognize. Okay, Tae-Wook Kang, good Korean fellow. I like your startup already, being a Korean guy with the last name Kang myself. You want to say he's the CTO. He's going to be the CTO, and here are his qualifications, and make sure you highlight technical people. So combine this slide and the previous slide together and say, hey, this is what we do. This slide and then this slide together. That's how you want to do it. And then you have thank you. So you know what we're missing? We're missing the ask slide. So where is the ask slide? So how much money are you raising? And before that, you want to have your traction. Now, let me explain what your traction slide should be. Your traction slide should be the state of the product. So we have mock-ups. Explain what's going on there. And so what's the state of the product? Have you talked to customers? Have you talked to customers at all? And what type of growth are you doing, right? So if you said, say the product, we're in mock-up stages, and we have shown it to 100 customers, and out of those 100 customers, let's say 10 are on the waiting list, right? So you got 10% conversion, and we're adding 10% week over week, something like that. Now that's a traction slide instead of a timeline, all those things, because traction is so important. Investors are going to want to know if you have the ability to get traction for it. Yes, you have the ability to build it, but do you have the ability to get traction? So that's going to be the main thing. Let me just say, so far, so good. Lots of positive potential. Good thing you got going for you. It's got a good solution. I'm worried that you're going to have a lot of competition for this solution because I know for a fact there are AI therapists and chatbots going out there. So you're going to have to explain and get your technical people to explain how your AI is different. Is it going to take all the stories from all these people? For example, do you have a learning center where you've got proprietary knowledge and database of stories of people who've had eating disorders and what they share how they got better. And so Claude or ChatGPT accesses those proprietary stories and then delivers your empathetic AI. Because if you just said, oh, we're just going to rely on ChatGPT and Claude, well, so can everybody else. What's proprietary? What's special about that? So that's the reason you have to explain how you're different from the competition. And that's going to be one of your big liabilities. I like that you started freemium and then you're going to start adding things. And I like the mentoring and all that stuff. But you haven't explained how many mentors have you talked to. You haven't explained how you're going to do support groups. So there's a lot of holes and you want to have little bits of information of how it works. And you want to explain that. Probably in your go-to-market would be, we're going to set up mentors. We're going to have community support groups and we're going to invite people to chat with our AI. That could be it, right there. So there's a lot of potential in this deck. It's just missing. And dare I say, you might have to go back to idea validation and test these ideas and do some better competitive analysis because one of the things you're missing, I get it, better help. Yes, you're competing with the status quo, but I would go and get your technical people to research all the other AI chatbots that are coming out there addressing mental health, counseling. That is an industry that they are trying to disrupt very quickly. I talked to another founder the other day doing VR headsets for mental health, emotional health. So what makes you different, et cetera. And go get that traction, take this and talk to as many people as possible and say, we've talked to 5,000 people with an eating disorder and we've validated that this is what they need and this is what help people. Or go talk to influencers, explain them because you're on the right track. This is where I do have experience in the mental health space because I'm neurodivergent, I've dealt with mental health issues, my son has dealt with mental health issues, and I know what it's like to be isolated and want the help and the support. Good, solid. I work with lots of other founders that do executive coaching, and I know community works, but you haven't laid it out yet to make an investor go, that is a big problem. A lot of investors are going to care about the problem, but you didn't lay it out where they said that is a novel solution and you have got this figured out and you're taking a contrarian approach to the market. That's my worry about this. So I look forward to it. And just as a thank you for sending me this deck, feel free to send me your next deck and consider me your advisor in helping you with this pitch. And I look forward to working with all of you founders out there. Aria, I appreciate meeting you. And let's continue to do it. As I said before, if you are a founder out there and you want your own pitch deck review, just leave a comment or send it to advisor@startups.com. We do have an intake process and we're getting that organized. That's it for this one. Do the YouTube thing, like, comment, subscribe. Super appreciate it. I'll continue bringing pitch deck reviews as I get them. That's it for me now. Watch some of the other videos that I had put on the screen. I appreciate you spending the time. I will see you in the next video.